What's going on YouTube? I'm Z Crames. Welcome to the channel. We recently rebranded. Today I have a very special video for you. I'm going to be comparing some of the best M cars of all time. I'm going to be comparing the E46 M3, the E46 M3, and the F80 M3. Here's the plot twist. When people do these reviews, they drive them for a couple hours and they make a decision. Here's the difference. I've actually owned all of these cars myself. Not just saying like, oh, okay, he's had an E36, an E46, and an F80. The cars I'm reviewing were actually mine at one point. So I have a lot of experience with these cars. I've owned them each for a very long time, over 8,000 miles per car. A lot of time with them, and I just want to give you guys a very straightforward review. Now, there's a few reasons why I'm not doing the E30 and why I'm not doing the E92. Yes, I have owned an E30 M3. The reason I'm not reviewing it is because, let's be honest, they say never meet your heroes. The E30 M3, it's a cool car, don't get me wrong. I definitely am buying another one at some point. But it's not that fast, and the handling is The E36 is a much better handling car, so we're going to start there. Why I'm not doing the E92. The E92 was a very heavy car. It actually was about 200 to 300 pounds heavier than the F80, and it was honestly almost the same size as the F80. The F80 is a little bit bigger, and also, like, other than the noise of the V8, it's kind of slow, let's be real here, and the handling was okay. And honestly, the brakes weren't that good either. The F80 was really when BMW stepped up and put the power, the brakes, and the handling. So that's why we're skipping the E92. And now, we're also going to be skipping the G80 for very obvious reasons. I mean, just look at it. It's horrible. So, let's begin. So our story begins here with the E46 M3. Like I said before, this exact E36 M3 was mine for over 3 years. I restored this car from the ground up, as you can see in some of my other videos. This was my very first BMW M3, and I learned everything I know about cars by working on this car. I rebuilt the engine myself. A lot of mods. I did some really cool stuff with this, and of course I painted it. The new owner has done some exterior mods. He put these grills on, he put these eyelids, and he did a couple things in the rear end. He also put a different set of wheels on there as well. Other than that, the car is almost identical to when I sold it, at least performance wise. Really the only thing he did was upgraded the brakes and put an exhaust. So I would say it still has the factory 230 to 240 horsepower, but we're going to take it out on the road and we are going to review it. But just look how beautiful this car still looks. Driving the E46 M3, my old car. First off, I want to say that I was wrong about a couple mods. He forgot to mention there is a short shift kit in here, so that definitely changes the feel. And of course, my lightweight flywheel that I installed, I forgot about. That changes the feel dramatically as well. But yeah, let's get started. It's mostly stock other than that. Oh, I love the sound of this car. It's like an old Porsche. It's fantastic. So, the first thing that I noticed while driving this car is the steering. The steering is light, but it's very direct. and you can feel everything. I mean, when I turn just a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left, that's where the car is going. I mean, it's fantastic in this car. I miss this car so much. Another thing that I noticed that I didn't remember at the time, these cars are not that fast. I always remembered this being like, not the fastest car, but a lot faster than it is now. And I think the reason for that is because, you know, right now I have an F80, so, you know, that thing is like a rocket ship. But also I had the E46, and that's a lot faster than this car as well. So I'm not saying this car is slow. It's just not as fast as I remember it being. And, you know, this was my first car. This was my first real car that I ever owned. I always leased cars prior to buying this, and they were always, you know, I had a 320, which is basically like a super slow. I had a Tiguan, so just very slow cars that I came from. And then I got this, and it just meant the world to me. And, you know, driving it now, it's not that fast. Something also that is very, very important to mention is that the build quality of this car, it's not really that good, and it doesn't hold up well over time. You're replacing everything, especially in the interior. A lot of creaks, a lot of rattles, and just a lot of little electrical things go wrong in this car, and you're constantly fixing it. And, you know, I put about 25 grand into this car before I sold it, and I took a big loss on this car, but you know what? Never look back, always look forward. That's something I always say. And driving this car again, I have to say, I do miss it. I really, really do. I could see myself in a couple years buying another one of these for sure. I love it. The sound's just so nice, especially with that exhaust. Even without the exhaust, this car always sounded good. So, something else that I want to mention is I daily drove this car for over a year. I do not recommend that at all. This thing's a death trap. First of all, I put the steering wheel on a while back. It had an airbag. I would not trust that airbag. And then it has a passenger airbag, but that's it. It didn't have any airbags on the doors or the sides. They did in the later years. The 98 and the 99 had side airbags, but not this one. This is a 96. Well, it's a 90. This is a 96 late build. It's badged a 97, but it was built in 96. But anyway, you know, enough of that. Another thing is, it's a really fun car. Honestly, it's gonna be hard to beat how fun this car is. I mean, something about driving a death trap, just, I don't know, I just like it. And it's just, it feels, it handles like a new car, but you feel like you're in an old car. You still have the classic car feeling, you know, the car is almost 30 years old, and it just, you definitely feel it. The interior is not modern, although laid out very well. I just love this car, man. Oh man. Anyway, let's put this one back, and let's hop in the E46 next and see what changes there are to that car, and how we can review it. The E46 M3. This is probably known as the best generation M3 ever made. It had practicality, it had balance, and it also had the power for back in the day. You're looking about 330 horsepower right here, which even by today's standards is pretty good. That's about what your typical S5 is doing today, as well as around like a 340i. So it's still fast, still holds up. Obviously, as I mentioned before, this was my old car. Thank you, Ryan, sitting over there, for letting me borrow it. The only changes since I own the car are these really nice bronze apexes. some wheel spacers, the roof rack. He got rid of those ugly black corner lights that you guys in the comments always roasted me for, so thank you. And I believe there's a carbon fiber diffuser in the back. Other than that, it's exactly the same, 100% stock, other than the status group exhaust, which obviously I put on. So let's hop in the car and see how it drives. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the E46 M3. Oh my God, you guys. This is the car that got away. It truly is. I mean, oh, I love this car so much. As you know, I sold it for the E30. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. Everyone said it was a mistake. I didn't listen. I did not listen to anyone. Oh, this is a big hill. But anyway, here's the car, and it feels unbelievable. The steering is so direct. The suspension firm, but not too firm like the E36. This is a stock suspension. The clutch, buttery smooth, and just those gear changes. Oh my God, it's not enough power where you're gonna die. That's what I like. You could throw this thing into corners, just absolutely throw it into the corners. Oh, great car, great car. It feels like I have never left. It just feels so good. Revs all the way past 7 grand. We're not gonna do that today. I don't do that to other people's cars. Maybe my own car, but not others. Wow, I can't get over this thing. I really can't. I mean, I've been driving my F80 for 3 months now-ish, and this is just so different. Oh my God. This is the ZHP on steroids. For those of you that say the ZHP is so different than the M3, you're right, it is. Because this is just unbelievable. And the ZHP is, it's a good car, but it's not as good. Oh. Taking it into the corner. Wow. These roads are amazing, by the way. This is sweet. I have nothing but good things to say about this car. If you're in the market for an M3, this is the one to buy. Forget about the E30, forget about the E36. This is the car. It is good at everything. Literally everything. It doesn't matter what you do, it's good at it. Grand Touring, good at it. I've been on many road trips in this car, good at it. On the racetrack, it's nice and light. It's good. The downshifts are great. Oh my God. It's a little bit heavier than the E36, but you don't feel it. You really don't feel it at all. Honestly, this is a great car, and I shouldn't have sold it. But, you know, you live, you learn, and maybe we should S54 swap the ZHP. Again, well, we should attempt to. Oh, yeah, look at this. Oh, wow. I love this car. Just look at the smile on my face right now. That just says everything you need. I mean, that's all you need to know. But anyway, let's hop in the F80 and see how it stacks up from there. The final car on our list in the comparison is the F80 M3. This right behind me is my 2018 Avis Blue F80 M3 competition pack. It's 100% stock, no modifications whatsoever. In my opinion, it is the best looking of the M3s that we're reviewing in this video. My favorite M3 of all time is the 30 M3 in terms of looks, but for this video, I think that the F80 is the best looking, and it's definitely the fastest. It's at 500 horsepower. It says 430 to like 440-ish from the factory, but they actually underrate their numbers, so it's really pushing about 500. And I put some carbon fiber on it, but other than that, completely stock. Let's get started. Inside the F80 M3 competition package. Holding on here with two hands because it's it's a powerful car, and let's go. This thing's awesome. So the first thing you'll notice right away when you step into this car is how comfortable it is. Now, this is a competition pack, so it does have different seats. They're super comfortable. I just took a 3-hour road trip to Saratoga Springs, New York. Very, very comfortable seats. Something else that you notice in this car is the suspension. This is the competition pack, like I said before, so the suspension is a lot stiffer than the regular F80 M3. Now, with that said, there's a lot of people that complain that the suspension is too stiff. Those people are a bunch of wussies, honestly. I mean, try daily driving my E46 for over a year on BC coilovers, then talk to me about stiff. This is basically like a Cadillac compared to that. If you actually have experience with a real sports car, it's not stiff at all. You'll be fine. It makes a lot of power, which I will demonstrate to you guys right now. Jesus. Wow. That brings me to my next point. The car is so fast. When you have an open lane, within 5 seconds, not even 5 seconds, 2 seconds, you're already going to jail. And not only that, even if there's nobody around you, which right now we're on the Autobahn, so, you know, no speed limits, but you catch up to traffic so quickly, it's not enough time to enjoy yourself. It's not enough time to get up to speed and really get up to the capabilities of this car. The steering in this car is unbelievable. It's numb, but the car handles fantastic. Here's the thing. Compared to an Audi or a Mercedes, the steering in this car, it's the best. You're not going to get better than that. You're just not. And to anyone that says it's numb compared to the older cars, yes, that's completely true. But you have to think they have to go with the times. They have to go with electric steering just because it's the technology in the car. You know, in this car, you can control the steering feel, you can control the feel of the suspension, and you can obviously control the throttle response, which you could also do on the E46. It's new technology. You have to move forward. This is BMW's first attempt at that in the M3. And to be honest, I think they did a good job. Look, the E46, hands down, the steering feel is the best out of any M car. But, you know, in this price point, you're not going to find a better car. Maybe a 911, but the 911 is 70 to 80 grand. This car cost me 65, and it was the nicest one, but that's the cheapest 911 at 70 to 80 grand. This is the most expensive version of this car, so I don't know if you really can compare that. lastly, the biggest thing with this car that we really need to talk about is the styling. I think that this particular car, especially the compact with the 20-inch wheels, the individual Avis blue color, I think this is the best looking car out of all of them. All of them that we reviewed. I think the E30, that's my favorite car of all time. So it's not the best, like I said before, but it's my favorite looking. But out of the cars we reviewed, the F80 is definitely my favorite looking. This car is also the best car that you can daily. You know, it's still, you can still have them under warranty like mine. You can drive them 100, 150,000 miles, no problem. I mean, go on the forums, you see people with over 120, 150,000 miles that say the only thing they've done is spark plugs and basic maintenance. I mean, these things just run and run and run. That's what I love about them. But anyway, let's get out of the car and head to my final thoughts. See you guys in a bit. So wrapping up this video just very quickly, obviously I spoke a lot when I was driving the cars. So, what is the best BMW of all time? I don't think there is a best BMW M3 of all time. I think it's kind of subjective. It's what you like. I think that the most fun BMW of all time is going to be the E46 M3. Something about driving a death trap is just awesome. I think the best looking BMW M3 is the E30, and that's, you know, it's always been my dream car. That's very subjective. You either hate it or you love it. That's up to you. Now, altogether, the best, like the actual best car is going to be the E46. It has the best feeling, handling. It's just all, honestly, it's just all around the best car to drive and own. And then the best daily is going to be obviously the F80, which I no longer have behind me. Don't know why I look behind me. But so that's my opinion. You know, the E92 sounds the best as well. I could throw that in there. The V8's just unbelievable. M3s are not really known for sounding good, and that's the only one that it really did. So why do I have this ZHP behind me? Number one is because, like I said, the overall best M3 all time is the E46. Now, obviously, this is not an M3. This is my ZHP. Unfortunately, Ryan, who owns my M3, couldn't make it today for the final shoot, so I put the ZHP behind me. The second reason is because in this video, I only spoke about M3s. I didn't speak about normal cars. And I truly believe that the best chassis overall, doesn't matter if it's a 3 whatever. I think the E46 is overall the best chassis, which is why this is my daily driver. Drive it every day. I love it. But anyway, until next time, have a good one. Peace.